You have an emergency fund. You built it the right way. You read the advice. You followed the steps. You transferred the money into a savings account, and you left it there. 3 months of expenses, sitting, waiting, doing its job. Except it isn't doing its job. It's sitting in an account paying you 0.01% annual interest, which on a $5,000 balance produces exactly 50 cents a year, while inflation quietly, methodically, every single month reduces what that $5,000 can actually cover in a real emergency. You are not saving, you are storing. And storing is not the same thing, not in 2026, not even close. The bank, meanwhile, is lending your $5,000 to someone else at 8% and keeping the difference. Has been the whole time. You are welcome to sit with that. My name is Mia. I spent years inside financial services, watching this specific trap operate on people who were doing everything right, people who built the fund, maintained it, felt responsible because of it, while the institution holding it quietly profited from their discipline. Today, I am showing you what your emergency fund is actually doing in 2026, what it should be doing, and exactly how to fix the gap without touching the money or taking on a single dollar of risk. Let's go back to where the advice came from. The 3 to 6 months of expenses and savings rule was popularized in the 1980s and 90s by financial planners, personal finance authors, and notably, banks. The same institutions that were about to earn decades of nearly free capital from millions of households who followed the advice exactly. Here is the asterisk they never mentioned. The advice was sound. The location it was dispensed to was not. A standard savings account at a major American bank in 2026 pays an average interest rate of 0.46% annually. The current inflation rate sits at approximately 2.8%. That means the purchasing power of every dollar sitting in a standard savings account is declining at a net rate of approximately 2.3% per year. Every year, automatically, while you do nothing wrong. A $5,000 emergency fund held in a standard savings account for 5 years does not become more valuable. It becomes worth the equivalent of approximately $4,440 in today's purchasing power. You saved correctly. You stored obediently. And the bank extracted the difference between what it paid you and what it earned on your money every single quarter, while you felt responsible for having done the right thing. That is not a side effect. That is the product. Let's make this concrete, because the percentage numbers are easy to scroll past and the dollar numbers are not. The average American household's monthly expenses in 2026 run approximately $4,200. A 3-month emergency fund at that expense level requires $12,600, held in a standard savings account at 0.46%. That $12,600 earns $58 a year in interest. $58. On $12,600, that is less than $5 a month. Less than the latte they told you to stop buying, produced by an account holding over 12,000 of your dollars for an entire year. Meanwhile, a high-yield savings account, available right now, today, at multiple federally insured online banks, is paying between 4.5 and 5.2% annually on the same balance. That same $12,600 in a high-yield account produces between $567 and $655 a year in interest. The difference between those two numbers, $58 versus $600, is not a small optimization. It is $542 a year produced by the same money, doing the same job with the same federal insurance, with zero additional risk. The only difference is the institution holding it. You have been leaving $542 a year on the table, not because you made a bad decision, but because the advice to build the fund never included the advice about where to put it. Because the institution giving you the advice was the institution that benefited from you putting it in the wrong place. Mistake 1. The wrong account. We just covered this. If your emergency fund is sitting in a standard savings account at a major bank earning under 1%, you are paying an invisible fee every single month in the form of surrendered interest. Move it. Today. Not eventually. Today. The account takes 10 minutes to open. The transfer takes 2 to 3 business days, and the money is still federally insured up to $250,000. Every month you delay is another month of $500 annualized sitting in someone else's pocket. Mistake 2. The wrong size. 3 months of expenses is the floor, the minimum survivable cushion for someone with stable employment, marketable skills, and no dependents. It is not the target. In 2026, the average job search for a professional level position takes between 3 and 5 months, which means a 3-month emergency fund, used for its actual intended purpose of covering a job loss, runs out before the job search statistically concludes. The real target, for anyone without a partner's income as a backup, is 5 to 6 months, not tomorrow. Build toward it, but know that 3 months is not safety. It is the minimum before things get very difficult, very fast. Mistake 3. The wrong psychology. The emergency fund is not a trophy. It is not a number you achieve and then emotionally park next to your sense of financial identity. It is a living, working financial tool, and it needs to be reviewed every 6 months for 2 reasons. First, your monthly expenses change, and a fund sized for last year's expenses may be undersized for this year's reality. Second, interest rates change, and the best high-yield rate today may not be the best rate in 12 months. The fund requires maintenance, not much, twice a year, but the set it and feel good about it psychology is how $5,000 quietly loses purchasing power for 3 years while you believe you are covered. Here's the sequence. Specific. In order. No ambiguity. Step 1. This week, identify where your emergency fund currently sits and what interest rate it is earning. If the answer is under 2%, you have a confirmed problem with a confirmed solution. Step 2. Open a high-yield savings account at a federally insured online bank. Currently, the highest yielding options are offering between 4.5 and 5.2% annually. The account is free. The insurance is identical to your current bank. The only thing that changes is who benefits from your balance. Step 3. Transfer the fund. Keep 1 month of expenses in your primary checking account for friction-free access, because emergencies are not always polite enough to wait for a 2-day transfer. Move the remainder to the high-yield account, where it earns something real. Step 4. Set a calendar reminder every 6 months to review 2 things: whether the fund still covers your actual current monthly expenses and whether a better rate has become available. That is 20 minutes, twice a year, protecting a decision that took you months to build. That is the fix. Not a reinvention, a relocation. The discipline you already demonstrated building the fund, that part was right. The address you sent it to was the only problem. You did not make a mistake building an emergency fund. You made the exact right decision and then trusted the wrong institution to tell you what to do with it, because the institution's advice and the institution's interests were not pointed in the same direction. You are not behind. You've just been reading a map drawn by the people who want you lost. Hit subscribe, because next week I am going inside the retirement account system. The fees, the fund choices, the fine print your employer's HR department definitely did not walk you through. And showing you what it's actually costing you to save for a future they're quietly taking a cut of. And I'll leave you with this. Your emergency fund is doing nothing, not because you built it wrong, because you trusted the wrong people to tell you where to put it. Move the money, keep the discipline. That combination, your discipline in the right account, is the one thing they never factored into the equation.